Welcome back, everyone, to the Women of Water Get Real virtual summit, where we're exploring where and why women are leaking from the water career pipeline, how to stop those leaks, and how to bring women back when they've left. And I am so excited to welcome our next guest here today. Portia Ingram was actually my own coach in an extraordinary coaching program, career coaching program for women that I had the privilege of participating in last year. Coach Mo Faul's kick-ass career coaching, and you're going to hear a lot about just this very unique approach that they've taken in the women's coaching space, especially for those women who either are ready to step up into their biggest level of contribution, to find their soul's purpose at work, and in some cases to return to the workplace if they have stepped out. Coach Portia, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, DrCat. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm Portia Ingram. I work with the team of coaches on Team Coach Mo. I have a background in human resources with some of the top consulting firms. And I've been a coach on Coach Mo's team and also a client of Coach Mo as well. So I've been through her program personally and also a coach. I get to coach other women to their greatness. Coach Mo's program is about bringing your soul to work. Coach Mo has a beautiful passion for empowering women to be their best selves in their career, no matter what industry that you're in and no matter where you are in your career. So we have a 12-week program that is phenomenal and truly life-changing.
Yes, yes, and unfortunately, Coach Bo couldn't be here today, but as I said, Coach Portia is tremendous and worked with me through my journey, and with her background in consulting was, really could understand some of the, many of the models that we have in the water workspace. These professional services are a big part of that. Coach Mo has had an interesting career path that might be helpful to know that, starting as a nurse and then going into the very masculine realms of leadership and health tech, right? What's her story?
Well, absolutely. She has a beautiful background she's actually an RN in nursing. And so she took the career path on the administrative side and climbed up the ranks very high and had several different careers in that space. So she has a very great understanding of what it feels like to be in the top realms in corporate, we'll say, in the healthcare space. We also have other coaches that have been like in the CEOs, CFOs of industries as well, that can pretty much give you the understanding of how to navigate that space when you are at those levels, when you are in industries where they're male dominated and you feel either less than or not as empowered to share your voice or share your knowledge. So Coach Mo has all of that knowledge and has this wonderful mix of trajectory of career path in the healthcare space. And she wants to take all of that, combine that with bringing your soul into it, and has this wonderful mix of formula to help women expand in their careers.
Yeah, and when I first connected with her, we recognized pretty quickly that we shared a common experience, which was, as we're powering our way through, trying to make it in this man's world, right? Sometimes our body gives us a wake-up call. And that we both
Absolutely.
experienced. She had breast cancer, I had uterine cancer, and that this is sometimes that time to step back and say, okay, wait a minute, where am I heading? What is my life purpose going to be? Right.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, we have had ladies such as Coach Mo, who's gone through that journey of breast cancer. That was her wake up call. There are several ways to get that wake up call, and it really happens in the part of your life where you may feel burnt out or just tired or you don't want to do this anymore. Those are some of those signs. that you're like, you know what, I give up. And so she was at that point where she's like, I've got to do something different. And it was that magical moment of, you know what, I'm going to put all these years of my spiritual practice and what I believe spiritually into what I've learned so far in the corporate world, put that together and create this awesome magical program, I like to call it, that really revives you from the inside out to be the best version of you.
And it's funny, people sometimes assume that because we talk about, water and environmental work as being very STEM oriented and science based and data driven and all that kind of stuff, that these aren't people who are going to be in all that woo-woo stuff. But I have found, and Water Citizen is about the human side of water, right? It came out of my love for the people that I had worked with, been inspired by, managed over, decades of working in the water space. And that, that common bond, that common love and passion for water, for the environment, for the communities we serve. And many of them do have that sort of spiritual component of, the connection with spirituality and water, the connection with nature, the connection with, the idea that we as human beings are all connected at a very spiritual level, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we describe that as your soul, right? That true part of you that is in you, that you probably met when you were a child and you felt like you were on top of the world and you could do anything. That part of you that was alive and thriving. What happens to that part of you as you get older, as you get into 40s, 50s, even 60s? And you're like, what happened? Life happened to me, and you find yourself in this space where you may feel stuck, or you may feel like, you know what, I'm just ready to give up.
Yeah.
And so that's where we come in.
Yeah. And it's funny, we in creating this summit, and at this point we've got, well over 40 incredible, amazing women, and one incredible, amazing trans man who presented initially as a woman when he started his journey in the water space, and then transitioned while working in water. So really unique perspective there. But that, we cover the gamut from, young folks just out of school. I think of someone like Sierra, who started Green Obsidian, celebrating Black leaders in conservation, through to women who retired as, someone like Marcia St. Martin, Marcia St. Martin, as retired as head of New Orleans Water and Sewage Board, who was head of that agency during Katrina, retired, and then has had a whole additional career, working with nonprofits, working with their church, for another, 10, 15 years after her retirement. And so really running the gamut. And although we have had some resistance in the middle levels of, as women start to rise up into leadership roles, a lot of the young folks, and I was very similar, I must say, it's like, I can do anything, all that women's lib stuff, that's old hat, and, we're the girls, GRRLS, and all the millennials coming in. Much as I was doing in my 30s, and, I have the right degrees, I'm at the right company, I've got lots of support, they've got all the brochures that say they support women, that's great. And then as we get into, being up for promotions, being up for tenure, being up for, an associate position, being up for vice presidency or general manager opportunities, there's either an implicit or explicit message that, hey, you better be one of the boys. Hey, you better not speak up. And I've had some people who either, declined, thought about, wanted to join us and then didn't, or, felt they weren't going to be able to get approvals from up above, or were worried about things like immigration status, that could be in jeopardy if they spoke up. I mean, have you, I know that you guys have had, within the kick-ass community, women who experienced some of that, right?
Absolutely. Yes. We've had clients who are currently going through maybe a lawsuit or some type of legal matter within their organization because they spoke up about something that was unjust that may have happened to them or maybe have gone on in their organization. And we help them through that.
Mm-hmm.
And one client in particular, I remember she was very scared to really share her story. She was in the midst of human resources suit, and she really didn't want to tell her personal story of how she and what happened to her showed up in the workplace. And we coached her through that and allowed her to stand in her power and her voice. And as a result, she stood up for what she knew was right, ended up getting a great settlement and also some time off to really heal from the wounds of going through that experience. And now she has gotten back into the workforce, got a wonderful opportunity, and is thriving and has been healed from, that situation. Because we can't push under the rug that when you go through something like that, that is, oh, it's okay, right? Oh, that's all right. I'm gonna keep on going forward and move on as if nothing happened. You definitely have to deal with the mindset of what's going on, the feeling state of what's going on, how you're feeling, how you are being treated. All of those things they matter, and how you show up to your next opportunity. And so we deal with the whole person in that healing space, as well as empowering you to move on to what is a beautiful environment for you.
Beautiful. And especially, we want women to be able to come back and find the right fit for them within this overall infrastructure of all the different places in which people working in water related organizations or water related professions, lots of options available there. And we have had a number of people who talk about things like career reentry programs and opportunities to kind of ease back into the workforce and have some additional support when they first get started. And we'll also, today I think one of the things that we haven't touched on yet is things like the new ways of doing HR, new resume approaches. Although that's not where you guys start. And when I first found you, I had just come out of a series of conferences, and it was like late spring, early summer of 2022, and everyone's like, oh my God, we're hiring all this infrastructure money's out. We need people. And it's like, okay, got to get my resume good, right? But that's so do you want to talk first about like the new ways of resumes, and then we can kind of walk backwards into where you actually get started, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, resumes, LinkedIn, all of that is important in this space. If you are re-entering the workforce or starting out wherever you are in your space, the resume game is a little bit different these days. I have a background as a recruiter, and so there's a lot of AI going on in the background of these systems. That's called an applicant tracking system. And so what we do at Coach Mo is to make sure that your resume can get past those systems so that you can actually talk to a person. And if you have ever gotten frustrated with applying for jobs and not getting a response or getting a rejection automatic email back, it may have something to do with your resume and making sure that it's ATS compliant. So we have a wonderful resume coach who will help walk you through how to create this beautiful resume that actually gets results and will not stop you at the first, after you apply for your job, getting that rejection letter, because that can be very frustrating.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn is very important as well.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to respond. I mean, you look at these listings online and it's like, you print them out. It's like 5-6 pages of all the things we're looking for, all the requirements, all the responsibilities, and you have to come up with a way to respond to all of that in a 2-page resume and a 1-page cover letter. And it's like, how do
you do that? How do you do that? Yes. Resume writing is an art, and thankfully our beautiful resume writer has the gift of writing resumes where not only she captures what you've done, your accomplishments, the things that, all of your trajectory in your career, but she also captures who you are. And I believe that's what makes us different, because the essence of who you are authentically shows up in that resume, and it definitely does make a difference.
And
So
then
yes.
that's really where it starts. And it can be a little frustrating in the beginning few weeks of the program, like, hold on, we'll get there, we'll get there. But first, let's do some deeper work.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously we can't walk through the entire program, but just kind of a overview. How does
Very high
that
level.
journey work? Right?
Absolutely. So yes, Dr. Cat, you are correct. We don't just dive into resume. There's some things that you have come to us because either you're wounded, or you're tired, or you're looking for that next level of opportunity. And so we want to deal with the soul part of that first, and really help you understand you at your soul's level. What does that mean? You authentically. What does that look like? Have you lost touch with who that is? And can we help you find her? And so that's where we start in the very beginning, say the first 3 weeks or so. And then we dive into, resume, LinkedIn, cover letter, helping you job shop, look for opportunities, all of that. But where we start is with the soul, and healing those wounds, that what we call job trauma, things that may have happened along the way in your career that truly hurt you, and that you are still carrying that hurt with you now. And believe it or not, that affects you as you go on into your next career. And so we want to address those things and really take them to consideration of healing and allowing you to move through that, so that you can now be ready for that next level of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so valuable to do that, I think. And I mean, on the one hand, there's just, working through the exercise of, your soul's purpose and, past, examples of where you accomplished something. And, as you remind yourself of all those great things that you have done before, and get those written down, you actually are going to be able to use those words, that language, those examples, in the resume and the LinkedIn profile later. But there is also that healing process, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, and ensuring that we don't go into the next interview, into the next job, so armed and ready for the next attack based on fighting the last battle. Right.
Very true. Very true. No need to go in fighting. You could go in winning, and in purpose and in joy and movement in that space. It's such a beautiful space to be when you live life from that perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, our industry can be very, a lot of these water related industries, utilities, agencies, consulting firms, as well as even the larger nonprofits, can be very conservative in the idea of, it is that linear pipeline, and you have to hit certain markers at certain times. And if you have a gap in your resume, or if you had too many career path switches, or I've even heard people say that they were advised that they didn't change their careers enough, and therefore they're not a risk taker, right? That people, that unless you really find and take ownership of your own story, other people can make up stories about you for you, right?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. You hit it on the nail, Dr. Cat. If you don't have your story straight, right, you don't know who you are authentically, then people will make up a story about you and come to their own conclusion. So why not show up in your power? Why not show up in your authenticity and share with them who you are, so that they don't have to make up a story? They already know, because you're showing up in that space and telling them who you are and what you can do.
Yes. Another thing that's I've really seen in the kick-ass community, and, after people have gone through this, really a 12-week intensive, and people are, starting at different times, that you kind of overlap with a lot of other women who are going through that part of the journey together. But then there's the whole alumni and other opportunities for, say, women who want to get to the CEO level, or want to dig deeper into their soul purpose and things like that, or want to focus on specifically on increasing their income, which women aren't always so good at. We got to ask for it too. But as they get into those spaces, we also see a lot of women who are incorporating what they're learning in their leadership style. And I know that we have a lot of people watching this who are not just women who are looking at their own journey, but also women and men and everything in between, who are in leadership positions or planning to be in leadership positions and thinking, how can I be a better leader? How can I do a better job at finding and recognizing good talent, at incorporating people into my team, at helping people to reach their peak potentials, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So we certainly have masterminds after the 12-week program that specifically target leadership, and have programs that target how to be a great leader, your signature, your brand, how to be a great boss and leader, how to navigate the political world and be politically savvy. Those are some of the topics in some of our masterminds. Once you complete the 12-week program, we definitely have programs specifically for leaderships and ongoing coaching and groups of women who are top leaders who continue to grow and escalate in their careers. And it's such a beautiful community of women who you get to be around and be in that environment and energy that elevate you and cheer you on and be there when you fall and be there to support you and say, hey, you know what? I have a question. I have a scenario. How did you handle this? Right. And to be able to have that conversation. So that's where I believe the magic happens, is with our community of women. They are very caring, because everyone has gone through something in their lives and their careers. They're very supportive of one another in our alumni groups and in our leadership groups as well. Everyone is very caring and supporting, and it's the sisterhood that most of our clients say, you know what, that's what I didn't really think about when I joined this program. I didn't realize that there were a group of women who truly believe in supporting one another and it really feels like a sisterhood. And that's definitely something that money can't buy.
And it's also recognizing that it isn't just who makes the most money is the biggest winner. That there are, for some of us, our soul's purpose may not be just money driven, although money is certainly a part of it. Money allows us to do more things. Money allows us to be in positions that of impact and influence and just do more, right? And to give back more. Yeah. So, but it's not always money driven, right?
Yeah. But when your soul is happy and when you are truly aligned with what it is that you're passionate about doing, I believe that money follows. It's just a matter of learning how to ask for it and knowing what your worth is. We definitely will share with you, what does it look like for you? Where should you be in your industry? Being in HR, I definitely saw some discrepancies of women's salaries versus others' salaries. And so, that gap, it's real. And so how to navigate that conversation when you're negotiating an offer, we help you with that language and how to ask for that.
Right. And it can be very intimidating for women who have been out for a while. I mean, even, like I get a lot of feedback of, well, you wouldn't want this position because you've got a PhD and you've done all these things in the past. And at the same time, wanting to, having been with a lot of organizations, there is this becoming part of the culture and coming in at a level where you can kind of learn the culture, learn how they do things, and start working your way up. And not, in some cases you may not come in right at the top level when you need to become part of that team, right?
Gotcha. Yes. So there are times when we coach our ladies, if they have this dream aspiration, this is my dream job. There may be times where we call them a stepping stone, right? That stepping towards your dream job, that you step into getting back into the field, getting back into the workplace, utilizing your expertise that you've gained all these years and getting back in the game, and then elevating to that next level and the next and the next. And so there's no limit to where you can go. We have one of our ladies have been a part of our beautiful sisterhood that's in our leadership program. She's on her third dream job. So there's no limit. It's the limits that we put on ourselves from our thinking, from our experiences, from the things that we've been through, the challenges and just the journey that we've been through in life, that may limit our viewpoint of what is possible. So we want to make sure that when you're a part of our program, that we're raising those limits so that you can see what's possible for you.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully hiring managers are beginning to recognize HR, you got your, outside recruiters who kind of go all over LinkedIn, and, commission based or whatever. You got your talent acquisition specialists, which might be the new name of HR, who, at the company level kind of do the initial screening interviews. You might have like a panel of other people who are involved before you even get to the hiring manager stage. And you may be, especially in our industry, we have a lot of kind of retiring baby boomers, older Gen X, mostly men, and it's so much push for newer, younger, recent grads, the latest tech just out of university and everything. And some of those are now being promoted very quickly into management positions who may be younger than the women that are trying to come back in.
Yeah.
And so, how to walk into an interview where, the manager is 5, 10, 15 years younger than you.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? That's common in any industry. That is very common in any industry. Had a recent grad that had that same scenario. Her manager was like, could be her son or child, right? The age of her child. And she was like, you know what? I just learned how to love what I do and treat him with respect. And he started showering her with gifts as a result, which was so interesting because at the beginning of her program, when she entered in, he was kind of that tyrant that was micromanaging her and just in the way. And she was like not feeling it.
Yeah.
And so she learned how to navigate that space to where, you know what? This may not be my final destination. I'm not going to be here long. While I'm here and while he is there, I'm going to be the best version of me. I'm going to show him respect of who he is and also teach him along the way, right? Because I have the wisdom. I've been in this industry for forever and I know what I'm talking about. So it was a way that she approached it, the way that she looked at it, the way that she took control of the situation. And as a result, he was very appreciative. He didn't understand what the shift was, but obviously he was showering her with gifts and all these awards. All of a sudden, she was just this great, person to be in the organization. And she was like, you know what? And it just really didn't matter anymore that, I know more than him. I still know more than him. But you know what? I'm going to use my network to get out of this place within the next, 3 months or so. So I'm good for now, right? So she was awesome. Like she took a very high level approach, right?
And hopefully, in some cases, with a younger boss, continuing to be part of the team and having, we've had a number of, there was a transformative issues symposium, water workforce at the water and wastewater utilities had right before COVID. And they had programs on intergenerational and, like little quizzes about, what does a baby boomer think? What does Gen X think? What is millennial? What is Gen Z and everything? It's like, oh yes, and it's interesting, but there's still sort of that assumption that older manages younger, that old guild structure, the master is older than the journeyman is older than the apprentice is older than the student, right? And and that may not be the case when we have career paths that are not necessarily a linear pipeline. We keep talking about this pipeline, but it may not be a pipeline. It may be people stepping out, making lateral transfers, adding in different levels of experience, adding the management experience of running a household, or dealing with elderly parents and all the paperwork around dealing with hospitals and medical care, or your own medical care. And those are skills that can be brought into, not just into the workplace, but within a team, recognizing who's the team leader, who's the coach, all that structure that we have within larger organizations. Just because someone is older doesn't mean they don't want to play on a team with people of all different ages, and even with a younger coach or a younger manager, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can bring your best self no matter what age you are, and everybody can learn from everyone, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter that, someone's older or younger. It may be that they have experience in something that you do not, or they're bringing their talents and gifts in an area that you aren't you aren't in. So everybody's contribution matters in that space, and it's a matter of how to work with that and how to navigate that space so that you are a team.
Another myth that often comes up is around, because so much of work in water and the environment, I mean, we're dealing with big things, big infrastructure projects, big climate change, natural disasters. Very often we are part of a team. Regardless of whether it's science and engineering or policy analysts or economists, public administrators, whatever, and often having multiple disciplines all working together, right? And in some cases, people may decide to have forced upon them the mantle of entrepreneurship. It might be the right choice while raising your kids. It may be, or you may see a great opportunity or have a great idea that you want to pursue, and at some point it may run its course, and you may be ready to come back in. How do you usually have, when people are in that solopreneur space, to say, yes, I want to be part of a team again?
Very interesting. Yes, yes. So do we have clients that have had businesses before? They've had a mix, right? Businesses, and then they've been in the workforce, and they're like, you know what, I think I want to have a business now, but I'm ready to go back into the workforce, for whatever reason. And there are several different outcomes to that. So some may think, oh, well, having my own business means freedom, and I get the flexibility, and oh my goodness, I get to do what I want to do, and all of that. And it's like, well, that may not be the case, or it may be,
Fred, about
depending on the industry.
When you work for nobody, you work for everybody.
Exactly.
Every client is your boss.
Exactly. Your clients do become your boss. And so, we have ladies that's their world, right? So they can handle, they've done it before. Maybe they did it a long time ago. They just are trying to get back into it. And then they thrive and take off after taking our course, because they ignite that passion. Usually entrepreneurship starts with a passion inside. There's something that you are passionate about, and you want to utilize that and figure out how to promote that in the world. Right? And so when that passion dies out because you get burned out, then that's when we usually see our ladies. And if we ignite that passion again, then they're ready to rock. And for ladies that are like, you know what, I just did this. I did consulting for a minute just to get a break from corporate America, my industry, whatever, fill in the blank, right? And they're ready to go back in. It's then coaching them through, okay, how do you take your clients now that you have a consulting business, and phase that out while you're looking for opportunity to get back in the corporate space. And so we'll coach them through that scenario as well.
Because it can be really common, whether it's as an individual or as a small organization, a startup business, a startup nonprofit, because we have a lot of very highly trained, professionals. People, through their training, through their experience, they become specialists at, being an operator in a plant that has reuse, or, dealing with very complex, we call them wicked water problems in the regulatory space and policy space. Whatever your specialty, you may be at that point where people start saying, hey, why don't you hang your shingle? I mean, that happened with me, right? I turned down a job to head up a water education foundation in Nevada to hang my shingle, and had all these people say, yeah, you hang your shingle, we'll give you lots and lots of contracts. Doesn't always happen. And, it can be challenging. The guys, they hang their shingle, they become officers of associations. They can may easily get that pipeline of work, and women may not always get that, or, historically haven't always gotten that. It can be challenging in that respect. And if especially if the E-Myth, Michael Gerber's book talks about working on your business, not in your business, and not, you can't just be the expert. You also have to understand, how do you market your business? How do you come up with your offers? How do you price your offers? How do you hire staff? All these things around. You can't just sit there by yourself doing the things that you love the most. You suddenly have to take on all the rest of that. And so that, part of that too is figuring out the soul of your organization, the soul of, how do you present yourself to the world so you don't get trapped into this, well, we're going to go after this big grant, and then we're going to just spend all of our time and effort being that, because that's what the grant told us to be, or the contract. And then we get another big contract and chase. Oh, now we're going to spend all our time being that, because that's what that contract or grant told us to be. And you can, it's not scope creep. There's a word for that, but basically, you find these organizations just kind of ping from one project to another, as opposed to stepping back and saying, who am I as the brand, the face of my brand, and who is my organization? So this work also does help for people who have their own organizations.
To find their voice again, right? And to step into their power. What does that look like? And how to not be at the mercy of your client, or the mercy of a grant funding, or, having that solid foundation is definitely key.
Yeah. And it really does help avoid that, all your clients are the bosses thing, when you're clear on, who I am, what we do, setting boundaries, and actually being willing at some points to say, this isn't a good fit, and walking away, which could be a scary thing.
Yes.
If it means, giving back money, or, or what have you.
Saying no. Yes, it can definitely be a scary thing. And we can help coach you through that scare, that fear, that mode of, oh my goodness, this is a new territory, help me through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, I mean, this was really a great journey for me. And I think for some women, when we do start digging into the trauma, and some people take a little longer than others to process and to rediscover their place within their industry, within society, within their own lives. And some of us are in industries that may be a little more cyclical in terms of when they're hiring. Some organizations really only focus on private sector stuff. And when you're at private sector, you can, if you can emphasize, how much money I saved and how much money I made for past clients, and that becomes a high priority for for-profit organizations. But in the water and environmental space, whether it's public agencies or private firms that are government contractors, which most of what we do is either for a public agency, contracted by a public agency, or regulated by a public agency. So there's always that element of, what is that bigger vision? How did you help, preserve the environment in your various ways? How does this all work when you're in that space? And then also recognizing that some of them, only hire, at the beginning of the water year, or the beginning of the calendar year, at the end of the quarter, and, trying to know, be prepared for those, or when there's a new Congress, right? be prepared for those new, those peak moments, those peak hiring moments.
Yeah. And so, there's a lot of industries that have different entries, right? And we have clients that are in different industries. For example, education is one of them. It's like that as well, right? There's certain times that you need to prepare yourself to for that next, whatever that next is. And so from what I'm hearing you say is that there are also peak times in this industry where it's you got to be ready regardless of what the timing is. You got to be ready for that, knowing that okay, 6 months from now we're going to see a new administration, or it may be that some things that are happening in the news, oh, that may spark some opportunity
Right.
for me. So being ready whenever that time comes is the key, and staying in that state of readiness, we'll call it, at any time, so that you're ready to jump in and be your best authentic self. And we start that, and we have, and this, DrCat, with a practice that we do each and every morning,
Mm.
that we share with our clients. And it's something that is very simple to do. It only takes about 30 minutes or so. Some may take a little longer. If you want to know the specifics of that, you'll have to join our program. But it definitely is our secret sauce, I would say, of keeping your mind, body, soul in alignment with being ready for whatever comes your way in life, in career, as you're entering into workforce, as you're preparing. It just keeps you in that centered space. And so the consistency of that's the foundation, as little as it sounds, right? Something that you do each and every morning for 30 minutes, as small as that sounds, that's actually what is going to help you navigate those spaces where things are fluctuating. Life is fluctuating. The weather is fluctuating. Things are happening
Pandemic.
all around you, right? And you have to be in the center of, and you're there to, your knowledge, your strength, your energy, everything that you have gained so far in your world and your life, you're ready to, okay, I'm ready to save the world, right? Whatever that is for you, right? You're ready to save the day. Because in the space of, just, I don't believe people really, the people that are not in your industry, I don't think they understand the complexity of safe water, having water for everybody to drink, to be a part, to
Yeah.
bathe in, to cook with, right? That
Saying water for life is easy. Doing it
right is a
a
whole
lot harder.
thing. It's a whole history, and there are lots of fluctuations and peaks and valleys and curves and curveballs, right? So being in that centered space, having that foundation so that you can navigate that for whatever comes up and whatever comes your way is key in this industry and any industry.
Nice, nice. For anyone out there who hasn't been in the water industry, but we're attracted to this because we have Coach Mo's program, we have Coach Portia here. If you're in finance, if you're in HR, if you're in policy, if you're in communications, if you're in whatever, there are so many different roles within these organizations beyond just oh, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, I don't know anything about water. No, there's a lot more to this
Yes,
water adventure.
absolutely. That's a wonderful word for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, I'm so glad you were able to be here. And by the way, for those of you in the audience, please do type in the comments. We're going to be able to check those comments and respond to you. Any questions, comments. We'll have a space on this page for more resources, for ways to connect. And actually, I think there is a very special gift that you all are providing to everyone who is here today. What is that?
Absolutely. If you check out, it's mofaul.com, that's mofaul.com. There is a webinar that you can listen to and see more about what we do. The webinar gives you 5 steps to create a career with purpose and joy. And check it out so that you can hear, yes, for Coach Mo's 5 steps to create that wonderful career that you always wanted to have and maybe are just right there. You're not there yet, but you want to get there. Check us out in that webinar. It is free. And then sign up for a clarity call if you're interested in being a part of our program. certainly it'll give you instructions on how to do that, how to contact our team. We are here to have that clarity call so that we can understand your situation and where you are wanting to go. What is the outcomes that you want to receive and help you get there?
Yeah, and often just having that clarity call, that's why it's called a clarity call. It helps you get clear on, just what is that? What is kind of getting you, not getting, not getting lost in what's right in front of your face right there, and say, start having some vision of what you want in the world. And whether this is the right program for you, we have other coaches in this program that are also amazing. This is a real, it's a real intensive journey, and it's a lot of support. And so, if you're ready to make that big step, this is a phenomenal program, and I am so blessed to have been matched with Coach Portia when I came in. I think she's probably one of the best people, in terms of having worked for one of the big consulting firms. Um, Understand that consulting mind, understanding those analytical types that sometimes the woo-woo people don't really get. Like, it doesn't mean I'm not supportive or I don't believe in the vision. I just want to know why and when and how and all those other details. And so, but we all get there in our own way. We've talked a lot all week about neurodiversity, about intersectionality, with race, with gender preference, with body types, with all sorts of factors that come up, and we're all on our own journey here, and finding that way for you to fully express yourself as a water leader with alignment and purpose and joy. Water is a fantastic industry to do that. Coach Coach Portia, any final thoughts you'd care to share with our audience?
I would say, with anything, right? You certainly want to be happy, feel joy in what you do. Don't do a job just to do it or to get a paycheck. There is more to your life and career that is waiting for you. So if you're not feeling joy in where you are, or you're feeling like, what, I'm stuck, I don't know what my next step is, join us. We can certainly help in that space. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Cat. It's been my pleasure today.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Come on back for all the great programs, and we'll see you soon on the summit. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us for this extraordinary conversation, one of 45 extraordinary conversations we had as part of the Women of Water Get Real virtual summit, where we explored where and why women are leaking from the water career pipeline, how we can stop those leaks, and even bring women back to water. I hope that you will enjoy all of these amazing interviews. If you don't have a chance to watch all of them during the summit, you have the opportunity to join us with a power pack and get lifetime access to all the videos, as well as an opportunity to join us for 30 days in a brand new community where we will dig even deeper in live facilitated conversations about some of the issues that are facing women in water. Look forward to seeing you there. Please join us at watercitizen.org/women, watercitizen.org/women for more information. See you again soon.